Welcome to A Double
and
Dice
with your hosts Kim
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage.
Pull up a comfy chair.
As we are ready to roll.
Welcome to episode 11 of A Double and Dice, and today we're going to be talking about some more feedback that we've received, especially from an email that we got from a fan. Yes, people, we do have fans. And then we're going to, which brought us into kind of going to talk about the Dice Masters community in general, but we'll get into that. But what did that email say there, Jocelyn?
Well, it was really exciting, Kim. We got this email, and it's from someone named Dee. So Dee says, "Hey guys, my name is Dee, and I wanted to reach out to you both to thank you for putting this podcast together. I played Dice Masters back in 2015-2016, participating in local rainbow draft tournaments since I wasn't very competitive, or very good for that matter, and drafts were a fun way to play. Unfortunately, I had an unpleasant experience at a local rainbow draft tournament all those years ago, which may have catalyzed my retirement. I was winning against a young boy, maybe 10 years old, and his father was there sitting next to him, completely berating him for it. He said things like, 'You're losing to a girl? Man, I can't believe it. How could you lose to a girl? I'm going to tell all your friends that a girl beat you, and they're going to make fun of you.' He was partially teasing, but mostly not. I saw that kid break inside, and I was so flabbergasted I couldn't formulate a proper response beyond, 'That doesn't matter, dude,' and telling the kid that he was doing great, and that it was fun to play him. The experience was otherwise so toxic it left a bad taste with me. Of course, most guys I ever played with were totally fine, but it was frustrating to be in yet another space where I could be made to feel unwelcome or treated less than because I was a girl. It goes without saying that it's a heavily male-dominated game, and I've never seen another female player. I can't tell you how exciting and important it is, at least for me, to hear not one but two women talk about the game. Just having your voices and perspectives out there on a regular basis is so huge, and I really hope it inspires loads more girls to get involved in playing. Hearing your podcast has inspired me to come out of retirement and get back in, because I really did have a fun time, just not enough people to play with. Thank you for putting your love of Dice Masters out there, because you really don't know who it will reach or how much of a positive impact it can have on a listener. I wish you all the best and can't wait for more content. I'd love to play with you guys someday. Dee."
It was an awesome email.
It was.
I was the first one to read it, and first thing I did was message Jocelyn and said, "Jocelyn, you have to read that email we got."
And I was like, "We got an email?"
Yes, it was a very touching email, so thank you, Dee, for writing that to us. It was,
and we do get emails from time to time.
Yeah.
Right? And we've shared them on the podcast before, but I think what was special about this email was this is exactly what we were hoping that this podcast would do. If you go back to our very first episode, which was super short and didn't really say much, we said, we just wanted to, get our voice out there and see if we could reach some more women. And this is what we did. It was really exciting. So
check mark accomplishment. Yay! No.
So we're gonna retire now. No, I'm just kidding. No. So yeah, we got the email, and Kim was like, read it. And I was like, what? I'm working where? And I'm pulling up my phone and I'm reading the email, and I was so excited and to read this email. So Dee, we're really glad that you emailed us, and we've been in touch with Dee since then. And today, the day that we're recording this podcast, I actually played Dee online for her very first ever online game. So that was super awesome. And she and I got together earlier this evening, and we played a game. And she had this really cool Superman over-crushing Lois Lane team, and I just wanted to buy all my multiple man swarm dice. So overall, as a D1, she did a great job. And it was really, really fun to interact with her, and it was great to have another woman to play with, because there's so few of us.
Yep.
Right? So it was really exciting. How did you feel about it, Kim?
It was good. Yeah, I as you know, I was pretty excited when I read that email. I mean, it's, as she said, it's a very male-dominated game, and the community is great. Like, even though it's 90% guys, 95% guys, everybody's pretty good. Whether you're a girl, you know what I mean. And no, that made me excited to think now we've got another girl playing, and she's been on Discord. I've seen her writing stuff on Discord, asking questions, which is really good.
Yeah.
And there's no what's the saying? There's no stupid, dumb questions, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, any question, everybody seems to be really good at answering it. So, but yeah, I'm glad that you jumped on that Discord and started to ask questions. And I think you're buying a new set, so the new set coming out. So it's great that you dived back into that, and that's going out to D there, that you dived back into it, and we're happy that we were able to help you with that. So,
And if you want to play D on Discord, she does have a setup now. You can find her. She's called Mass Spectra. So, so that was fantastic. But reading her email, I mean, I haven't had this experience playing Dice Masters, but I've had it doing other things in my life, right? Where someone is like, oh, I can't believe a girl beat me,
mm-hmm.
or, those types of things. And I'm like, where does that attitude come from? Why is that still here in this day and age?
Yeah, that's a tough conversation.
It is a tough conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
But it's just weird to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? To think about that. But again, if we go back again to our first episode where we talked about how you and I met, Kim, and how I just assumed you were a dude.
Mm-hmm. Until I
Right?
told her my name, which can be a guy's name.
Which could be a guy's name. But for some reason, I just knew when you told me your name that you were a woman. But when you were just KD Tank on Facebook with this logo of like a Superman K
Yeah, it's
type
true.
thing, I was like, I just assumed you were a dude. I thought I was going to a game store to play with a dude, and it's a little intimidating. And there's things that sometimes that I do now, and I'm fairly comfortable in my own skin, and I'm comfortable, doing things that I like, even if it means that I'm not around people that are like me. But there is that little bit of intimidation factor going into a comic store, going into a game store, especially if I'm going in by myself, because, ultimately everyone looks up and kind of stares at you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you don't necessarily feel welcome. And when I was talking to Dee tonight, when we were playing our game, she was talking about how she joined the Discord, and I was like, yeah, that's great. And I've seen you asking questions, which is awesome. She's like, yeah, everyone's been really nice. She's like, but it's kind of intimidating. And I said, what's intimidating about it? And she said that it was like a group of people that all know each other, and not just their Discord handles, but their real names.
Oh yeah, she felt like she was outside the circle, kind of thing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
outside looking in. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I totally get where you're coming
Mm-hmm.
from, because it was only last year that I joined the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And at that point, I knew you,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew Rob,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew Reg and Laurier, and I'd
Yeah.
never met Matt, but I'd talked to him. So there was a couple of people that I knew, and then other people I just knew as like faces on the screen, like Ross, right, from Weekly
Right.
Dice Arena, or
Right.
Steven, DM Armada. You're like, you're this face on a screen. You're like a YouTube celebrity or a Twitch celebrity, right? Like, I don't, you're Chris from the Ministry of Dice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're Arjun Lucan from Roll and Thunder. You're, these celebrity people in the Dice Masters community, and I don't know any of you, but now I do, and I've met many of these people in person. But even just interacting with them over the Discord or Facebook or whatever those places are, you start to get to know people, and I would say that for the most part, the community is very welcoming.
Yep. And it can be intimidating. Like, I think I joined the Discord the same time as you. I can't remember, but you just have to start. You just have to have that confidence and just start talking, right? And everything will just flow from there. And then eventually, by the time you know it, you're gonna know everybody. You're gonna know everybody's names. You're gonna know who does what, who plays Pokemon Go. Come on, So, um, it's just. I think it just takes time, and you
Yeah.
just have to allow yourself that time. You know what I mean? Like, don't get too discouraged. Um, maybe you may not hear the answer you want to hear. You know what I mean? But you can't just shy away from it. like run away from it, right? You just gotta stick to it, and then eventually, by the time you know it, you're it's like your second home.
Yeah, absolutely. But you have to be able to take that first step, right? You have to dip your toe
Yes.
into the
Yeah.
water, and you have to be willing to speak up and ask questions.
Yes. Don't be
And
afraid.
that's what we're seeing Dee do. And there's always new players jumping in. I think about Lonnie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Lonnie just joined the Discord not that long ago. He started designing playmats,
And
right?
that's yeah. Thanks, Lonnie, for
Posting them on
finding me my
Facebook.
Yoshi one.
And now, I've never met Lonnie, but I'm like, yeah, Lonnie's this cool guy from Facebook and Discord that watches Dice Masters, and one of these days we'll play it. So so you get to know people. It comes, but there is that intimidation factor, and I think that as women, there's that extra intimidation
Mm-hmm.
factor because you don't know who these people are. You don't know from our names that we're women or men or green aliens from the planet Xenon or whatever, right? Like, but we're all people that love this game. But I think the other thing that we have to remember as a community is that sometimes when you're focused on something that's text based, so if we think about the
Yeah.
Discord, sometimes that can be challenging because you don't have context and some people don't know you, right? And especially if someone new is in there, they might see a comment or a statement. And if you don't have that context behind it, like a joke, for example,
Mm-hmm.
um, you might not understand its joke, right? And sometimes there's misunderstandings, and I think that's something we all need to be really aware of when we're out there in the text-based world, right?
Yeah. Text is a hard one to read.
No pun intended.
Yeah, it's just it's like even if you're like texting on your phone, it's the same kind of concept, right? It can go people take it differently. And I think as a community on Discord, like Dice Master community on Discord, with a lot of new people coming in now, we do have to be wary of that. You know what I mean? Like you yeah, there's still a bunch of inside jokes and stuff like that, but we don't want also people to read it and then leave, right?
Yeah, feel unwelcome or feel like
Exactly.
they're in
Um,
on the outside looking in to a joke that they don't get,
right.
right?
And
Or,
if they're seeing this a
sometimes
bunch, yeah, if they're seeing it different channels too, because there's a bunch of channels in there, because it can come from anywhere, right?
mhm.
Just be, I just advise to be wary of what you say. You know
Yeah,
what I
just be
mean? That,
mindful.
yeah, exactly. Be respectful still, and because we did have a pretty big spike with new players coming onto Discord, so um, yeah, we want to make sure everybody's welcomed.
Yeah, and I think it's great. And I think online play has sort of improved and exploded within the community right now because of the fact that we can't get together in person in most places yet
Hmm.
as a result of the pandemic. So it's great to see all these people coming out and playing. It's great to see, huge dice fights and huge weekly dice arena events and big one day tournaments and things like that. Um, and even like Earth X Origins, right, which we talked about in our last episode. 45 players from across the world all got online together and played Dice Masters at the same time. It's awesome. And a lot of those people were brand new. It was their first time ever playing online.
Yeah.
So, they don't know the people, they don't know who they're playing, and they've never met you, and they might only have your voice and your hands to go by, right? Or if you're just chatting with them in the Discord, just your words. So just be aware of that, right? I think all of us have to be aware of that and how we come across. And sometimes we just, I know it's something I work on in my real life, work life, the life that pays for the Dice Masters bills. Um, I work on communication it's a big part of my job in making sure that there's not misunderstandings and managing people and that type of thing, dealing with different personalities. And when you just have that text, it's really kind of a challenge to do that.
And speaking of online, what I've been trying to do, like when I play in WDA or tournaments or whatnot, if I don't recognize someone's name, um, I would say, "Oh, I've never played you before. My name is Kim." I actually tell them my real name. I'm Super K in Discord or whatnot. Some of them recognize my voice because of this podcast. They're like, "Your voice is so familiar." I'm like, "Oh, I'm probably from this." And
You're internet famous, Kim.
yeah, yes, 50 minutes of fame. Um, but I think that goes a long way. Like I'm starting to do that now. I never really did that before. I would just kind of jump into the game, but now that I know that a lot of people are starting to play online more, I kind of introduce myself a bit. Um, you know, say, "Hey, here's my name. Here's, just start explaining more, especially you don't know if they're how long they've been playing, you know what I mean? But still kind of, explain what you're doing, your cards, what they do, go over them, provide team links, things like that. And that's something I'm trying to really work on now as I play online is just anybody who I don't recognize or who I don't know. Just try to introduce myself and make them feel a little bit more welcome.
I think that's a great idea, Kim. I think it's huge as we try to get more people to play this game, and then hopefully this online surge
Mm-hmm.
will relate to real life when we can get back to the game store, right?
Yep.
Here's hoping. Another thing I've noticed online is that sometimes people online tend to be maybe a little bit more opinionated than they might be if they were in real life. The anonymity, did I say that right? Of the keyboard, right? You can be a little bit more bold online, make
Mm-hmm.
stronger statements, and sometimes that creates a little bit of back and forth, a little bit of misunderstanding, a little bit of potential verbal sparring or text sparring, as the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of strong opinions. It came up recently on Facebook again, someone saying they missed campaign boxes because we're going back to draft packs in the next set, right? And that created a whole big thread of people, well, I like campaign boxes for this reason, and I like collectibles for this reason, right? And I'm not saying people shouldn't have an opinion. I absolutely think people
Yep.
should have opinion, right?
Yeah.
But how you express your opinion, I think, is really
Goes a
important.
long way. Yeah.
And, make sure your opinion is about the opinion and not the person.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So that's something I've noticed as well, that sometimes there are some, and not just here, just like anywhere on the internet, because the internet is like that, but sometimes people take the person to task as opposed to the opinion, providing their opinion on the opinion.
Right.
There's actually a Sarah's Scribbles. Are you familiar with Sarah's Scribbles, Kim?
I am not. Please.
So
What
Sarah's
is
Sarah's Scribbles is she's a comic artist, and she does these little like one-page couple panel comics, and I actually sent Kim one of these last night, but she didn't know who it was. So she does up these little one-panel comics, and the one I sent to Kim last night is just really funny because it said, there's a picture of a panel, and there's an early bird, and then there's a night owl, and then there's the brief window where both of us are conscious. And then the fourth panel said, "We will cram an entire friendship in here." And I was like, that's me and Kim.
Guess who's who?
So that is Sarah Scribbles, or Sarah Anderson Comics. So she has this comic in her book. I have her book in my kitchen, and about every week I flip a page to get a fresh comic. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but it's a comic about the internet, and it says, "I have an opinion." And then the next panel says, "Well, I have an opinion about your opinion." And then the third panel says, "Well, this is my opinion about your opinion about her opinion." And it just goes on like that. And then you see the first person who had the first opinion, which is her. And she's just backing slowly out of the frame, right? Because, there was one in there, I was like, "I'm 11 and my parents don't monitor my internet, so this is what I think of your opinion of her opinion." Like, it's funny. You should look it up. I'll try and link it if I can find it online. I'll link it in the show notes.
Hey.
But no. So the internet is a place where sometimes people get a little heated, and I think a lot of that comes from that text-based conversation where you don't have the context. So just be aware.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
if
I mean, you can't take things
go ahead.
personally.
And just don't attack people,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Just take their opinion, and if you have something to say about it, form it, not about them, right? It's their opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. That's how we are built. We're not all the same.
Yeah.
Um,
But we all do play Becky, right?
yeah, I tend to see Becky's a lot in
I'm just
the
kidding.
tournament, but
Becky Lynch made in Ireland. Okay, so the other thing is that I was thinking about that this reminded me of as we were talking about this is that survey we did that we talked about a couple episodes ago, right? And when we talked about what people felt a bad Dice Masters player was, it really all tied back to people's attitude, right? So it was all about, being a bad loser or sore loser, being uncool to your opponents, um, you know, lack of attentiveness, bad attitude, cheating, things like that. I don't see a lot of cheating in the game, but sloppy. But essentially, it just came back down to bad attitude, bad attitude, bad attitude,
right.
right? So, how can you make sure that you have a positive attitude, go into that game with a positive frame of mind? We're all here to have fun, right?
It's not
So,
always about winning.
exactly.
It's you win, you lose some. You're gonna win some, lose some. But if you lose, I think you have to have the right attitude about it. You can't be a sore loser as we're putting it. Um, that doesn't obviously come off very good to your opponent as well.
Yeah,
And it's a learning experience, and that's what you have to take it as, right?
exactly. Right? And if you get stomped by something because you don't understand what it did, then you're going to know next time.
Yeah. Or in my case, ask before you get stomped. What does that card do?
Depending on who I'm playing,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll ask, other times I'll just wait to get stomped on. Um, but always in good fun. So I think that the other thing, if we think about the community perspective, is this is not a new conversation. We're not having a revolutionary conversation here about the community. And I think the community is often trying, many members of the community are trying to make it more welcoming. So I think about Rob. So last week, of course, was Canada Day, so we didn't have to work on Wednesday. So Rob joined the Weekly Dice Arena last week, and he and I played in Weekly Dice Arena because we didn't have to get up early the next morning for work. And I think that was Rob's first time going into the WDA. Of course, he met Ross when we were in Memphis, but he'd never been to WDA before. And he was like, wow, he's like, Ross really puts on a great show. Like, if you didn't know what Dice Masters was, like, you would stick around. And he's like, I could see him like explaining what's going on. I said, oh yeah, he's done it before. Like, he's had new people show up and chat, and he'd be like, okay, this is Dice Masters, and this is how it works, and this is what we're doing, and he's like explaining it to everyone, right? That's like, it's a great example of being an ambassador for the game, and trying to create a welcoming community. And as part of that, like, there's been a lot of conversation, particularly online, about, how do you build events that have a certain level of competitiveness, right? Sometimes people come and it's all competitive, sometimes it's casual. One week, you come to an event and it's, everyone,
Semi-casual, semi-competitive.
yeah, everyone brings their A game, and you brought this team that you threw together in 5 minutes because you wanted to buy all your multiple man dice. No, I'm just kidding. But you bring this more casual team, and then you get stomped, right? So then next week you bring something super strong, right, or something a little bit more competitive, and everyone else goes casual, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the things that the community was trying to do was they introduced this traffic light system, right? We've seen this on a couple of the events, the online events. Like if you think about Weekly Dice Arena or you think about Dice Fight, that happen every week. So a red team is supposed to be like no holds barred, super competitive, bring your A game, if you were going to an event, you take a red team. And then you have a green team, which is like, this team should be super casual, it should be random. If it has a combo, it should be super convoluted and take like 17 turns to pull off. Like, it's really hard to explain what that is. But it's supposed to be more casual, like the opposite of a competitive team. And then you have yellow, which is kind of in the middle.
The confusing color.
And I think a lot of them can be considered confusing. And again, this is not intended to be a slag on anyone who's come up with this or has brought it forward, because I know that the best intentions are there of trying to help people determine what level of team to bring, what level of competitiveness to play. But I've also seen it and heard it personally, people saying things like, well, that team's not very green.
Yeah.
Right? You know, or that really probably, you probably shouldn't have brought that card because it's not a green card. Right? And then it sort of comes across as like team shaming. And what if you're a new player? Right? What if you've never worked in the traffic light system before? What if you only have a limited collection and you put together the best team that you could out of your collection? Sometimes that could come across as maybe not as welcoming. And I'm not...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm not saying I have a better solution, because I don't.
Well, it goes back to the sore loser part too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you lost, it was supposed to be a green team, and you lost, and your first reaction was, well, that's not a green team. Well, that's not very welcoming, and that's not, you're discouraging or putting down your opponent, who, again, as Jocelyn said, maybe a new player and does not know. That's your opportunity to educate.
Exactly.
Right? Especially if if it's a new player. Like, oh, you brought, oh my gosh, I can't even see this, like red, like I can't even think of a red team. Like, I don't build red to even
here's
know
a red
but...
team. Ready? Becky Lynch, made in Ireland.
Okay.
With Jerry Lawler and Booker T.
Okay, so you bring that to a green event, and your reaction to that person who brought it was, well, that's not a green team. Well, that shouldn't be your reaction. Your reaction probably just be to educate them, right? And say, that was more of a red team. I'll explain why it's a red team, and so forth and so forth. So it kind of ties back into sore loser and not welcoming new players, especially, and then they're going to get discouraged and never want to play again. Yeah. And we're never going to see that person again online, nor chatting or anything like that, which,
it's a shame.
It's not what we want in this community.
Yeah, we're trying to grow the community, right? So we want it to be welcoming. And like I said, I think the vast majority of people are trying to do that. And, I know we all need to continue to focus on it. That's just my opinion. Do you have an opinion about my opinion, Kim?
Not your opinion, but I do. I mean, the traffic light system, I'll be honest, I don't like it. What you think is red is what I think is red. What you think is green may not what I think is green. Oh, you know what I mean? And yellow is just what's yellow, right? It's somewhere a color. In the middle? Well, I mean, it's just people are gonna see it differently. Mm-hmm. And again, goes back to tying of what team you built and the attitude you bring to that team, right? Bring to that game. Yeah. But to me, honestly, it's just like, and I've done this once. I think it was, I don't know which one we're playing, WDA. I don't know what color it was, and I'm just like, I'm gonna build my team not even like thinking about color, because it just confuses the heck out of me. And then it was like, next week is like green or no, there's no color. And I'm like, all right, I'll go just based on the theme, right? And people who know me, I don't bring competitive teams. I'm not bringing to like kill you in turn 2.
No, we talked about this last week, how you tried to bring a Mystique Overcrush team to the big event.
Yeah, that didn't work. My opinion is, I think we tried the colors. Have we heard much feedback about it? I don't know. I don't really see coming like in the Discord. I don't know, Jocelyn, you may, I don't know. But if it's not working, then just go to like a ban list. Just have a ban list out there, and then people know to build their teams based on the theme and cards not to use. And that could be a continuous ban list, or that can be a ban list that changes for the theme or whatnot, because I think the color things just can be very confusing because people take it differently.
Yeah, I think it's very subjective. And I think that they're really, like, let's be honest, I don't think there's a great way to do this. And then the other thing that I think is something to be aware of when you're a new community is some of the new players that come out, they don't have the big collection that you and I do, Kim. Right?
That you do.
That I do. That some people do, right? Some of these people might only have one campaign box, so they can't build a theme team. You know, make sure that they feel that they are welcome to come anyway, right? I know some people are like, well, I don't have enough cards to build a theme like that, right? And then I hear things like, well, you could proxy stuff, but proxy only works if you have a large collection where you can proxy from, right? So I think keeping that in mind too is leaving it open for new players. If they don't have a collection that they can build to the theme, like let them still come and play. Like I know when we used to play our in real life events down at the game store, you know, we always put in our event postings that, you know, this was the theme, but if you're new and you don't have a team, or you don't, you know, you don't have a theme team, if you can't build a team for this theme, you know, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Bring what you got.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, you don't know how to play, we'll teach you, right? So lots of people willing to do that in the community, and just, I think, be aware of that. And yeah, let's just, I've seen some chatter about the traffic light system, not much lately. But I think typically the yellow or orange, the middle range, seems to cause the most problems when it comes to trying to figure out how to build it. Like, most people seem to understand that red is super competitive, and green is supposed to be more casual, but then I think the difference is people's definition of casual, right? So I think that's where it comes into. Again, it's subjective, and everything's going to be subjective in that way. So, and we just want to know what you think. Those of you that are listening out there, all however many of you are, I haven't looked at Buzzsprout lately, somewhere around hopefully 100 people.
Around the world.
Yeah. All around the world. I feel like we should be like dancing now to that song. Was it Daft Punk? No, so, you know, let us know what you think we can do as a community to make people feel more welcome. Just every people of all shapes and sizes and colors and genders and, you know, planets of origin. You know, let's find a way to keep making this the best community out there, the most fun community to be a part of, and making sure people feel welcome.
Yep. And yeah, if you have suggestions or comments, you know, feel free to share it. Mm-hmm. We want to hear from everyone, right? So Absolutely. Your opinions, my opinions, your opinions.
No. Everyone's got an opinion. We want to share your opinion. And
I got to see that comic.
Yeah, I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to link it for sure.
And you got to link the other one too, of like Totally Us. That was the best. I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. That's like so us. And
I love her comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so good. So yeah, but yeah. So let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about how we as a community can help make this a more welcoming place for new players and for people to get involved. And then I know some of you out there that listen, some of you gentlemen, which is many of you. I know that you have like wives and girlfriends and female friends that play this game, but they don't play it online and they don't play it competitively. So, you know, we're curious why, right? Why don't they? What is the difference there? And how can we try and change their minds, right? Because we're all awesome. Let's play Dice Masters.
Girl talk.
Yeah.
Hashtag girl talk.
So yeah, so I think that the other thing that we wanted to talk about today, Kim, is we had another piece of feedback from our EarthX Origins episode. So we posted our episode 2 weeks ago when you and Laurier and Matt and I had a conversation about, when I interviewed you. Because you're famous now. You're internet famous.
I feel so famous.
I should get your autograph while I can before we start charging for it.
I'll autograph your playmat for you.
Oh, perfect. Thanks. So we got a comment about the actual online tournament itself. And I think this kind of ties into some of the community and online play we're talking about here. So I thought it might be a good opportunity to talk about this. It came from our friend Craig Huebner. And Craig said that it was great to hear the compliments for how well the EarthX online tournament was run. The men of RollingThunder.xyz, men, and CR Game Room, men, deserve high praise and compensation for everything they did. They were excellent. The part of the conversation I wish the Dice Masters community would have is online play for casual versus tournament. Everything I experienced online is great for casual play. The real problems with online views and formats are not good for tournament play. I hope the desire for online play does not overwash getting improvements done before tournament play is really a pursued activity. So I think that that's a really well expressed opinion from Craig, that, you know, Craig has an opinion about tournaments online and that it's a little bit more challenging than playing in person. And I think all of us that have played online and in person can agree that there are big differences between playing a tournament in person and playing a tournament online. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to get a little bit more information from Craig, so I asked him. And I said, I think it's a fair point. You know, what does he see as the challenges for online tournaments that need resolution, and how can we as a community overcome them, since online play is our only option right now due to the pandemic for most places? So he said in 6 matches, he had 6 different views of his opponent's play area. And I think let's break his comment down into multiple pieces here. So I think that's fair. I've definitely seen that online, right? So I've seen people that focus their camera in on just the play area. I've seen people that have it spread out so you have the whole mat shown. I've seen people's mats be set up in different formats with cards sideways, with dice on top of them, like all kinds of things like that, right? So it is very different. Whereas when you're sitting across from an opponent at a table, you can see everything clearly, right?
Right.
And then the other thing you have with online, of course, is internet connection.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulties. Which I know you experienced a lot of that day.
Yes. I couldn't record because of it.
Yeah. So there's, technical difficulties because of maybe the quality of the camera, the quality of the audio, the actual format you were using. Like I know Jitsi was causing you problems, Kim. Some other people have shared some concerns and issues they had using Jitsi compared to Hangouts. But I also know we can't depend on Hangouts because they keep saying Hangouts is going to disappear. So, we're trying to find other options to play. So I think that's a fair comment. Maybe if we're going to play bigger tournaments online, maybe there needs to be a standard view of what you show your opponent. I don't know what that standard view is. Is it just the play area? Is it the whole mat? I don't know, but it's something to think about.
Yeah, like sometimes depending on where I am in the house when I play, you may see my whole mat. You may just see my play area because I got to move the camera and situate it differently. If it's just my play area, it's gonna be, I would say, not a lot of more work, but I would have to try to figure out how to get it higher so you can see the play area, right? So, I mean, there could be those kind of challenges, and which may come up. Everybody has different cameras and all that, equipment and stuff like that. But I see how it can be a little hard. I think one thing too is, which is, I've heard Chris and Rob Game or CR Game Room say, when they were talking about tournaments, and I've been doing this for a long time, is putting your dice in levels.
Mm-hmm.
I think that helps a lot, like level 1, level 2, level 3. Um, I don't know, like, and then there's camera fuzziness that you can't see, or connection issues and stuff like that, where you have to ask all the time, what's the defense or what's the attack on that? But
Mm-hmm.
I think putting it in levels does really help a lot.
I think that's a good point, Kim. Um, I find that, and I do that now no matter where I play, whether
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing in person or I'm playing online. I have started putting my dice in levels at all the time. So my sidekicks are always on my left. Then it's level 1, level 2, and level 3 dice.
Yep.
So the next thing that Craig said was there was not a good view of dice or cards that should be available for tournament play. So I get that, and some of that has to do with, again, the camera setup, and some of it
Mm-hmm.
has to do with the quality of the connection or the camera that you're using. I think that's where the Dice Coalition Team Link is really important, and we're really, really lucky to have that in our community. That we have that great fan-run tool. Thanks, Truby.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it.
For keeping that together and giving us the ability to do that. And you can pull up the team and you can look at it as text or you can look at it as cards. It's really pretty awesome. But again,
Yeah.
if you're not familiar with that and you haven't played online before, you might not be as comfortable with that type of technology, right? So, and it is different than, hey, what does that card do? Can you show it to me, please?
Yeah. And I
Right?
think giving a team link's a big thing too. I think that's just providing a team link to your opponent, whether you're playing casual, competitive, whatnot.
Yeah.
I think it might help a lot, and that's something I don't usually do. Sometimes my opponents ask me, and I'll be like, I gotta whip it up because usually I do my building team on my iPad and I use my laptop, so it's
Yeah.
so I have to somehow transfer it over and do all this stuff, but or whip it up really quickly, right?
Yeah.
But I think just in my personal, I have to maybe just have that handy ready to go.
Yeah.
Not be like frazzled trying to figure out how to give them a team link kind of thing, especially to new players. So,
Yeah.
um,
So Craig also says to support tournaments, it seems there needs to be a way to support playing the game where both players clearly see their opponent's play areas and what the player does. When that is a real option, it would be nice to have tournaments online. So I think the big thing there that I would say on that is when I'm playing online, and again, I've started doing this in person as well, is I narrate my play.
mm-hmm.
I don't narrate my thought process necessarily.
So I'm going to do this.
If I do this, I can destroy you in 3 turns. No, I don't narrate that part. But I think I say, okay, I'm going to. I actually like I say, okay, I've rolled, this. This is what I've rolled,
Yeah.
right? And then this is what I'm re-rolling,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to use this shield for the Becky Lynch Global, and these 5 energies to prep my Becky Lynch tie.
Wow, Becky's getting a lot of attention today.
It's on the tip of my tongue. It's a female-oriented podcast.
Exactly.
Her nickname is the Man. No, so yeah, so you narrate your play, and
Mm-hmm.
I find that helps a lot, and I do that when I'm playing live as well, right? So that's something that I've gotten into the habit of doing.
Yeah, and that helps a lot with if you have that fuzziness or you can't see what they're doing. Narrating is a big thing, and that's something I've been doing as well. Just making sure I'm walking through and what global I'm using and everything like that.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, it is very tough to get a clear picture all the time. That's that can be a very big one to overcome. Everybody's connection's different. Everybody's internet's different. Everybody's camera's different. Their equipment's different, right? I don't think that's truly ever 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But that is, I think it is what it is. I don't think that's something that can be fixed, I guess. It just depends on the people's connection, right? You can't expect clear crystal, and that's where I think the narrating comes in handy, of what you're doing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I was playing in the Origin, I was having a lot of trouble with, and I've never had a problem with Jitsi. I was doing a lot of hand motions, so they would say like I would hear it cutting in and out. I was lagging. So I was doing a lot of hand motions, like okay, I'm passing. I do kind of like a pass or
Mm-hmm.
fast priority kind of thing, thumbs up. Things like that. Or even I had someone just jump into, please let's go into Google Hangouts or something, which was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So I think it's also good that speaking of community and attitude and stuff is the other your opponent is what's the word? No, what's the word I'm looking for? It's tip of my tongue. Um,
Talk to me about the word, Kim.
not willing to try, but
Flexible?
is flexible. Yeah, yeah. With you that she's having issues or whatnot. Let's see what else we can do. Just keep going and just kind of. And I've been talking through everything or doing hand motions and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
it's just and you don't want to be like, oh, this person's having issues and blah 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 blah. Again, that's
Yeah.
not the right attitude, right?
Yeah.
Try to
Use
help
the
out that
chat
person.
function.
Yeah, use a chat or go to a different room if you have to, or use as I was doing hand signals and you're like, don't worry, just keep talking, or do hand signals or whatnot. So I was pretty much talking a lot through all my gameplays, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I haven't had great experience with Jitsi either, so I don't know if that's me or if it's Jitsi. It's probably me, right? You're the technologically savvy one of our team here, Kim. But but yeah, so there's just there's things to be aware of, and I think that it is important, and I'm glad that Craig brought it up, that we as a community do talk about this, because if you're new and you haven't been through some of this online stuff, if your first foray was jumping into this tournament, it's a big learning curve,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I would say yes, come out and play casual. Come out and play in the weekly dice arena with Ross on Twitch at Final Ross Battle on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Or if you're more of a early afternoon person here in the North America area, or you live in the UK or Europe, there's Dice Fight from DM United on Thursdays at, I think they start at 4 p.m.
4
Eastern
p.m.
Standard
Eastern.
Time,
Yep.
which is 9 p.m. British summertime and 10 p.m. in Central Europe. So I'm learning all these time zones. It's so
Mm.
exciting.
We have Team of the Month that happens once a month. The one shots from CR Game Room. So.
And then there's always people looking for a casual game,
Mm-hmm.
right? So especially if you're on the Discord, if you're not on the Discord, go on to dm-north.com. Under community, there's a link for the Dice Masters online Discord, and there's a channel in here called Looking for Game, and people are always looking for games, and there's always someone willing to help you test your setup and be your first ever opponent and help you out with stuff. Like, there's always people there that are willing to jump in, most of the time. So I would strongly encourage you to join if you're not part of the Discord already. And I think it's a good conversation. So we would like to hear from you, our listeners, about what you think about tournaments online. And if you are a regular of playing online, try to think back to the first time you went online and what were those things that we needed to overcome, right? Or you needed to overcome or learn that you wish you know now, and you wish you could tell a brand new player, like, these are the things you need to know, right? So what are they? Tell us, and we will share them with our great community here of Dice Masters listeners and players.
I think that's it.
I think that's all we had today. It was a heavy episode, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of great content. So thanks for listening. But before we go, we just want to remind you that the Ministry of Dice is holding their 3rd anniversary live stream on Friday, July 17th, which, if you are a current listener, like when this comes out, right off the top, when the download comes into your podcast app on Monday, July 13th, that's just the end of that week. July 17th, the Ministry of Dice will be having their 3rd anniversary live stream on YouTube. So head over there to theministryofdice.com /the ministry. No, what am I doing? YouTube.com /the Ministry of Dice to check out their live stream. It is at 9 p.m. British Summer Time, which, as we have just learned, is at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. in Central Europe. And if you're over there on the left coast of North America with Arj and Lucan and RollandThunder.xyz, no apostrophe, no G, you'll find it at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So check that out. I know I'm going to try and be there and help them celebrate, because we are chasing their tail we've got 11 episodes under our belt. It's 3-year anniversary or bust from here.
Look out, we're coming for you. That's a mighty long tail.
This is the longest running female-oriented Dice Masters podcast ever.
We should be proud.
Exactly. If someone else has more information about that, let me know. But until that time, that's the claim that we're making. So if you have any comments or suggestions, any thoughts about what we've talked about in today's episode, or a claim that proves that we are not the longest running female-oriented podcast about Dice Masters ever, please feel free to send us an email at tripledpodcast@dm-north.com. You can leave us a note on our dm-north.com podcast page with our show notes. You can find us on Facebook. And of course, you can always find both Kim and I on Discord. Kim is at SuperK and I am at JBOUWME. So we would encourage you to check us out there. We have our Twitter, Dice Masters North. We have our Instagram at Dice Masters North. We have Facebook at Dice Masters North. We have something else. Twitch. Don't forget Twitch. You can find us on twitch.tv at Dice Masters North as well. And encourage you to reach out to us at any and all of those places with the same message if you would like, and we will make sure that it gets on the podcast.
And we'll eventually have Instagram.
No, Matt's posting on Instagram now.
It's working?
Oh, it's working for him. He just can't remember the password to share it with the rest of us. So, but yes, there are actual posts on Instagram now. Instagram.com/Dice Masters North. And on that note, we will talk to you next time on a double and dice.